Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello everybody and good morning.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Labrīt.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning from Portugal.
Bom dia a todos.
Καλημέρα.
Günaydın.
Labadiena visiems.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow students from all over Europe. First of all, I want to thank you for this amazing opportunity. We are very proud and excited to be here today. I think we can all agree that what we are doing today is very important for the future of Europe.
Chacun d'entre nous a quelque chose à
We all have something to contribute, I think. Nobody is insignificant at all. We are all important.
You don't have to be rich, wealthy, or belong to a certain community. You can live in a tiny, strange piece of the earth. Thousand opportunities and possibilities are the same for everyone. We can travel, live, work, use our skills and gifts to reach the highest success, and we can stay in France, Germany, Spain, Czech Republic, or Poland like we were at home. No borders, no enemies.
In 1955, Piero Calamandrei, during his speech, he said that the Constitution is not a machine that goes on its own, but it actually needs fuel, the fuel of commitment. Europe needs the same commitment that every nation, every constitution needs.
All of us, the Greek young people, are here today and every day to remind you that we are all a family with one goal: to make Europe even greater for all people, despite religion, skin color, disability. We are determined that all of us here share common worries, dreams and ambitions for better futures. Let's do this together. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to say a warm welcome and a heartfelt congratulations to Zoe Tsilivaki from Greece. Because Zoe is the 1000th follower on the Instagram account of Euroscola. Also ich glaube wirklich daran, dass
I really do think that you're going to have a wonderful day today. But it will depend not on just whether you do talk to each other and take the microphone and speak, but you need to listen to others as well, so that you do realise that we do all have differences, but we have points in common as well. What do we have in common, though? What we have in common is that we're not Americans, we're not Chinese, we're not Mexican. We are all European. We are all convinced, aren't we, that we need to reshape Europe. So I think today what's going to be important for you is that you do appreciate these the examples that are going to be given to you about the possibilities for Europe of the future. So I hope you have a very pleasant day. I hope you have fun as well today. Thank you very much.
With the security is quite an issue, quite a big issue at the moment. Would you ever consider developing an army for the EU?
Thank you for your question, which I think is a very important one. Why it is an important one? Because it's precisely one of the examples where the European Union, or where the countries within the European Union can still work together much more closely. Think about the way in which we look at the United States and their army. It's quite a big country, it's quite a big army also, and they have a very powerful role to play in the world. We don't want to be the United States, let me be very clear about this. But we can see some advantages in the way in which they share their means and they share the personnel, let's say, at a bigger scale. Today in Europe, we have 28 different armies. We have 28 different ministers of defense. We have 28 different ways of seeing the ways in which we should think about security. And I think there's an awful lot of time being wasted on exchanging views on how we should see security. I think there's really an opportunity there for us to work together much more closely with each other, but more precisely to share our means with each other. Think about tanks, or jeeps, or soldiers even. Wouldn't it be much wiser to just share our efforts and to buy tanks or jeeps or fighter jets all together? Because if you do so, you will have an economy of scale, obviously. It will be much cheaper, let's say, if we buy together our means as a European Union. So if you were to ask me, do you want a European army? I would say, why not? But especially, let's begin with those practical things which would save us a lot of money. Let's put together our means and let's see what can be the economies of scale that we can pull out of this. When it then would come to a real European army with real European soldiers, well, that would mean giving up on your national army, obviously. For a country like Belgium, which is a very small member state in the European Union, that is not such a big issue because our army is very small. But I can imagine for other member states, that is not the same thing. It is often also a matter of honor, a matter of prestige to have its own army. Let me conclude by saying this, if we were ever to achieve a European army in itself, it would be the example of the way in which the European Union is indeed a successful peace project. Because we all used to have, and we all still have, national armies because of the fact that about 70 years ago, we were still fighting each other within the European Union. So if ever we were to have a European army, it would be the proof that no longer we would be fighting each other, but we would be forming together a strong European army.
What do you think of the pranksters who are making pranks like pretending to attack people with acid and everything? Like there was a video some time ago on YouTube about a prankster pretending to throw acid at a person's face. I think those people should really deserve some more serious consequences for their actions, because that is something that may scare some people in the future. These pranksters can really cause fear in our hearts.
Thank you for your question. And I do indeed also see on Instagram or Snapchat some really bad pranks that are being tried at people. It is really a negative evolution to scare people. I think this is what's happening more and more. But you see that within our societies today, there is already a lot of fear happening. Because, for example, of terrorist attacks, not only in Spain, but also in the UK, also in Belgium, France, obviously as well. There is a lot of scariousness, of anger or fear already living within our European Union. So whenever people really want to, let's say, try the humor of pranking people through fear, I think that is really a bad strategy. It is making people even more afraid than they are already afraid today. And we need to do everything we can not to evolve into a society of European people where everyone is afraid to be out on the streets or where everyone is afraid of looking at the other. This can't be the purpose. Precisely the other way around. We should try and really build all together a European Union or a way of living in our countries where we try to live together with each other without having to be afraid from each other. If you look, again, at other parts of the world, and I think the American case is a particularly bad case in that sense. We have seen last week, or early this week, the shootings and schools. Well, I think precisely this is where we don't want to go. So even pranks pull us towards that direction, but we should do everything to fight it.
Hello.
Hello, dobar dan. Hello again.
Round of applause.
This is the second time that I'm present. I would like to welcome all of you and I'm really glad that I see so many young people in hemicycle, and if I'm really honest, I could say that this number is much bigger than normally is a number of MEPs during the plenary session.
I would like to know why there was so little discussion about the situation in Catalonia in the European Parliament. Because there was a lot of police violence and they locked up political leaders, and I don't know why there was so little discussion about that.
Yeah, thank you. I also asked the same question in the European Commission and some politicians also in the European Parliament, why we avoid to speak about the situation in Catalonia. 2 weeks ago, I saw the documentary film about this important big day in Catalonia, what's really happened on the street, what's really happened on the polling station, and it was really, I mean, for me, ununderstandably and also unpredictable that something like this could happen in the heart of Europe, in Spain. That you push forward to the police forces to attack the people of the country. I mean, it's really, for me, it was a dramatic situation, and I really, at that time, we sent to the other colleagues several calls and recalls to European Commission, also to European Parliament, to open discussion, to sit together, to find the intermediator between the Catalonia and the Spanish government. But we are still active on this. We have a Catalonia platform here in European Parliament, so you could also find on the web page this platform, Catalonia platform from European Parliament, and you will be updated about activities, also regarding prisoners, also regarding our role in this so-called negotiation, but we really try to push the open and democratic discussion, and also to open the serious discussion about the rule of law, legal framework, human rights, and international law standards.
Do you support the temporary interruption of the fishing effort between 100 and 200 miles of the economic exclusive zone, creating a sanctuary zone that allows the recovery of the marine ecosystem of the area?
Yeah, I mean, I support every effort which go in the direction to save the planet Earth and to save also the microbiological reservoir. And I'm supporter of activities which keep intention in the relatively high level that you could not explore the Atlantic, the Mediterranean Sea, Adriatic Sea, and other oceans on unlimited way. There are limits, and these limits will show very negative consequences to not only to fishing industry, but also to people who live from the sea and who are really dependent on the sea. So we also try to find here in the European Parliament the balance, how to protect in one way the sea and also the fish resources, and on the other hand to still keep some kind of economic limits and economic minimum which is needed to get also into account this social aspect. So we have to be very, very, very persistent in this path and this fight against the really abnormal exploration of the fauna and the flora of the whole oceans. I know that it will be the fight between the big fishing industry and the fight between the well-equipped these companies, but we are not in position now to underestimate the consequences of this full exploration of sea resources. So I really agree, and I support the policy and the way where you could also make some kind of the zone where is not allowed to go to fish for some time of period, because to give chance to recover the fish found around. Thank you. Obrigado.
We need to slowly begin weaning people off fossil fuels and help countries that can't afford renewable energy. There was a suggestion of reducing the amount of meat we eat. However, we came to the conclusion that it is best that we just educate people on meats that don't use as much energy as, for example, cow meat uses a lot of energy, which is very expensive and not very good for the environment. We think that transport should be replaced. So, for example, in Sweden, the railways are very underdeveloped compared to other countries, and if we, they would have to use planes, whereas they could have just used a train to get here. And planes use a lot of fossil fuels, and they're very damaging to the environment. However, we can't really stop using planes, but we could reduce the amount we use by developing railways. We also suggested that we could help subsidise part of these with costs through the EU, and consumers could cut down on certain things. We could promote public transport and modernise the public, as I suggested.
We agreed that EU member states should have access to their citizens' data in order to prevent any terrorist attack that could happen, and to obviously enhance security so their people are safer. Another massive topic that we looked at was gender equality, which again is a massive human right that we deal with within the EU. And we agreed as a collective unit that the EU should make progressive, slow movements in order to close the gender pay gap, which is a massive prevalent issue for men and women. So that was then agreed on, that we should definitely make progressive steps and amendments to protect that right of gender equality. Another thing we looked at was education. And going back to terrorism again, we agreed as a group that certain education implements should be put into place to make sure that people that are vulnerable to radicalisation that could cause terrorist attacks are educated correctly to stop this. And we said that exchange of information about data and about certain maybe preventive attacks and security measures should be shared within member states.
Cultural festivals and other events, like Euroscola. This is a great opportunity for us to meet each other, countries all over the world, and talk about culture, because we think that that is very important, that we talk about it and that we learn from each other. So, festivals like eating food that comes from other cultures and stuff like that, festivals. And then online learning. We talked about online learning as a professional platform made by historians, because we believe that the education is the key to success, and we need to learn more about each other's history. And we first talked about having this at school, but then the issue was that there is not enough teachers. So then we talked about having like this online instead, where everyone could have access to this made by historians, as I said. And then we talked about funding European medias. We all have seen American movies, but we don't see other movies from other countries as often. And we believe that that is a very important thing, that, for example, we in Sweden see movies from French or like other countries.
We try to find a bond between aging and happiness. What we can do, or what Europe can do, is stimulate companies to be more flexible with people who get children. Of course, you cannot make it obliged to someone to have children, but if they have children, you have to be flexible with it. A man has also a psychological effect from a pregnancy and a birth. So we try to make it gender neutral. The man can get an extra day off of work, and this will stimulate the happiness of the people as well. Plus, it will make a bond between the professional and the personal life of the people. We are all teenagers. We will all have to vote. We are the next generation, and we want that people are clear in their mind where they should vote for. First of all, people need to have a neutral view on politics because they are influenced by media, and we propose a neutral platform to introduce politics to children at a young age and also in their teenage years, because if people are unknown about politics, it might lead to incorrect decisions, as we've seen with Brexit. If more people were informed, it might have been cancelled out. So the aging problem, the education problem, and the migration are really three topics that Europe is already dealing with and should be dealing with. This should be their main focus. Thanks for your attention.
Blending two cultures together, it's a massive task, and from when you have so many people coming in to one area, it's just you can either take it really slow and painstaking and leave everybody wait up, or you can do very quick but not do a very good job. It is a very difficult, and we're talking about education, and we're speaking about communities, and I believe communities are very important, a very important role in any society around the world. And I believe when someone who has lost their society, lost their community to war and other horrors, and have to move the country and to go to the promised land and get work and try to go to a place where it's safe, it's very difficult. One thing was opportunity. Opportunity is for everyone, I believe. If you don't give an opportunity for one person, then I believe it's not democracy, and that's what the EU stands for, it's democracy. I believe everybody does deserve a chance in this country. And not this country, but in the EU.
Our first suggestion was for the EU to help fund more technical schools in which studying towards exams and experiencing a working environment are both factored into the education system. This would give younger people more work experience, which would therefore make them stronger competitors to the older people with more experience applying for the same jobs. We also agreed that the EU should spread more awareness for the Erasmus Plus programme and other programmes that organise study abroad schemes. This would make opportunities more widely available for students with international experience, and so they would be attractive to potential employers. Our final approved proposal was for help from the EU to spread more awareness for the career paths of traditional jobs. This may send more people into these jobs that are often not fully explored as an option in each country. Thank you.